November 2nd, 2022. This date feels secure and soft. What pours from my pen is, hello, my love, my guide, my inner fire, my fierceness, my flame, my way back home. Welcoming into your life a way to come connected into the seas and waters that create lifestyle connection points. You work yourself into a frame of reference for a long ride home along the ways to freedom. In some ways, there are sentences to strengthen your space of tender silence upon a path of purpose that greets the love of yourself along the way. Stand up tall and let me know how you care through direct actions and words. My heart grows heavy and I safely require roots up work for foliage in the spring. To craft yourself to come connected with your heart amidst the rage-filled space of turmoil, to take your space upon the edges, to craft your care under the core. You know more about not creating yourself a place you cannot sleep the night away. Won't you please be the entry to a fold unto the night? I want to speak clearly and with direct conviction. You are the space of your own love in the mess of it all. The messy wars, the unfolded drawers, the space of consciously considered care and core offered spaces to delight your mind upon the heart's passage. Your deconstructed ways space our time into distress, and you work to get your feet back under your body and weight for access to well-being again, in some ways, for the first time. Your sunrise shoulders the cape of your core placement, and you rise within shine upon your horizon and hold fast for steady balance. It's okay to show yourself steady. You can grow from a base without constantly being dug up by the roots. Protect your perspective and find access to consistency and relational well-being. You space your time for safety and care. Your tenderness grows and you offer space for sureness and flow. The time of your life cultivates a safe pleasure for something more balanced for form. The universe, yes, is all energy, and also that energy manifests as form with formless dancing amidst the edges and between the folds. You're allowed to feel the support of a steady life. Come into the heart of your love. Discover the edges of a good home. Speak in the full view of your desired light and cultivate a home of steady pacing. I have to say something. I have to express the delight of my own home amongst the journey of my love. You are my core offering, and the masculine must walk himself into death, accepting the inevitable and rising up as a man. The child must die so the man can emerge and fulfill his role in the community. We have done the inner child work. It's not that it's complete, but we have fulfilled the relational needs. Hello. Welcome to November. We're in November. I feel like it always happens every year. After Halloween, it starts to really feel like fall, at least in Los Angeles. And I noticed that I used to live in Toronto, Canada for a while, so on the East Coast and side of this continent that I'm on in the Northern Hemisphere, it also felt like right at Halloween, at and after Halloween, we stopped getting the heat waves and the dark half of the year with that Samhain heralding in that time of year. You can kind of feel it. And I had this really luscious Halloween Eve. I was going to go out and celebrate with friends and have a lovely night watching a movie and being in PJs and passing out candy, which really did sound wonderful. And my body was like, that felt like too much. So I had another friend, they had a surprise evening free. And did I want to connect? And we have a history of just working in like the somatic, embodied, really luscious space. The two of us have been sort of mirroring different aspects of our own respective healing journeys in and out of connection over very many years now. There's a lot that is still symbiotically swimming where we've been, where we're at, where we're headed. And so it was lovely. We got to pull some cards. We did a little embodiment, which was different than how we used to do it. And it felt really good to be in space holding experience, but also just like a friendship sharing experience. There was something, and I had another connection like that the other day with a friend. I feel like I'm finding more like easy nourishment in the kind of work that I know that I love that I do. So I'm hoping to bring more of that into the space that I share with you here on YouTube and also into the Patreon and how I'm hosting the different workshops and masterclasses and podcasts and meditations and things that I feel called and drawn to connect through there. I'm looking forward to the way they're going to continue to evolve, because what I love about the work that I do is that it's so much about evolution, and it's so much about the making sharing process as more process and practice focused over product. And at the same time, along the way, part of my process and practice for a while now has been, how do I not completely let go of goals and intentions and consistency and promises and showing up in a regular ritualized way? How can I bridge the space into finding that kind of steady ground, that sort of place of feels like a recovered sense of safety and like a heartbeat of being willing to connect. What I love about Pages and Process too is that it seems to be a lot of those of you who connect to the work feel like fellow introverted, cozy, connective creatives, whether you're writers or journalers or in other forms of creative beings. And there's a sort of spiritual ebb and flow and a pragmatic connection that I want to cultivate, a space of coming into healthy relationship with the potential for longevity in my own sense of being able to commit to my creative energy. Although I mentioned it a bit in my pages today at the end about masculine energy and the child needing to die. That's something I've seen as a theme in the classes where I had larger groups of students, college level, where I was holding space for. Something that came up consistently when we were doing ego work is that there was a tendency that there needed to be a form of conscious egoic death, a willingness to step into the void, the unknown, the uncertainty, and sort of give up the boyhood thought that you could just pew, 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 like those are little guns, right? Sometimes they were like a really fun way of embodying. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like a rumble of an engine close by. I don't know how long it's going to last, and if I should wait or if I should just let it be part of the background. I'm going to wait. For inner child work, there's a lot of inner child work that people are doing around healing. And I think there's so much beauty in that. And I'm not poo-pooing it. And I'm not saying that I haven't done it and it hasn't been very successful, or that I won't return to it and intermittently, at least, fold it into my practices, because I think there's a lot of value to it. And there's also a point where for certain kinds of sort of trauma responses that we might fall into, once we have a baseline of safety, right? It doesn't help to keep doing the nurturing. What actually needs to happen, or unless the nurturing becomes this, right? Which you could argue maybe that is, but there does need to be a little bit more of like, hey, I trust you. You can stand up into this. I know you have a history of abuse here, but like we now have signals and discernment, and we know how to listen to ourselves and our environment in a way, and have communication skills that can allow for transparency. So we need to build the bravery and the courage to stand up and speak from that solid space and be willing to show ourselves whole, stand in our firm ground, be that sort of embodied masculine essence, regardless of the body that we're in, and still stay connected to the heart and still stay connected to the earth and the concept of being in that feminine flow, even as we find our solid ground, even as we allow this experience of form to be intertwined, interconnected, and even not different than the formless and the uncertain experience, to let there be a place of both dissolving but also forming that can happen co-creatively, simultaneously, in a singular essence, in a singular moment. So I don't know if that was too heady for you or if you totally get it, but anyways, I'm trying to find ways where the pieces and parts of me can speak and I feel safe speaking, at least safe enough to continue speaking. And that those of you who are interested in my work are connecting in a way where you feel hopefully not like I'm pushing you away, even as I'm recovering from a disorganized attachment style and learning how to experience community in a relationally secure way. And that's hard and scary, especially in the land of the internets, right? You have to really be cautious and careful because there's just a lot of abusive dynamics out there. So, all that said, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for those of you who have been sending me private messages or being in the comments or are part of my Patreon. It really is so meaningful for me to feel like there's starting to be more safety for us too, both in my body and then in your experience of coming into connection with my work, that the relationship piece is so important to me, and I feel very timid there. So thank you for being a part of my recovery in that. And I am in my heart for you if you are also in recovery for that, wherever you are on your journey, ahead of or in more formative stages than I am currently. And I think we all crop in and out of different layers of that. We're sort of like fractals. We go through our ebbs and flows, but I'm wishing you a wonderful November, and I'm going to keep trying to come back week to week to week and aim for Sundays on a release date. And if you'd like to check into the Patreon or into the one-on-one mentorship that I do, I love the one-on-one mentorship, the broader connections while still being authentic about who I am. That part, that piece is an edge that I am consciously bridging into and leading you through some masterclass and workshops on that in the Patreon for the higher tiers. So if you're interested in being into deeper practice in the same way that I'm holding myself through practice, I am doing my best to create some pieces of making and sharing that might be able to be medicine for the collective wound that many of us are moving through, that is coming forward for me to process. Thank you for listening to my pages, being a part of my process, deepening into connection points and practice along the way. Until next time, bye.